We now turn our attention to using behaviors in your Director projects. A behavior in Director is pre-written lingo or JavaScript code that you use to provide interactivity and add interesting effects to a movie. They're essentially snippets of pre-written code that you'd simply drag and drop onto sprites on the stage or to frames here in the score. Behaviors are found in other Adobe products such as Dreamweaver and Flash. So you may be already familiar with this concept, but I think that Director offers by far the most comprehensive and useful behaviors of any authoring program that I've ever used. You use behaviors by simply dragging them from the library palette and then drop them onto a sprite or frame to attach it. So you choose Window, Library Palette. You'll want to open up the Behaviors section or a folder there of the library palette. I've already demonstrated the use of Flash components, but notice that Behaviors provides quite a comprehensive list here. And again, to use them, all you have to do is drag and drop them onto a sprite. For many of them, you'll get this parameters dialog that will let you set the parameters for how that behavior will act. In this case, I'm fading out this image here. So you'll notice that, actually I'm fading it in this case, but really applying them is as simple as just dragging and dropping them onto a sprite. Here's the rotate continuously, and I can rotate this once every 60 seconds, once every 10 seconds. So that image is going to fade in and then rotate. Probably will rotate continuously since it's taking longer than 10 seconds to complete the rotation. And what's great about these behaviors is that you can click on, make sure that your sprite overlay is turned on under View, Sprite Overlay, Show Info. That'll show you information about the behaviors that are applied to that sprite. I click on that little icon there, and here in the Behavior tab of the Property Inspector, I can see the list of behaviors. In this case, I can change the fade in or out. I can take the maximum fade to 100% or some fraction of that. Here's my start automatic on my fade in, and there's my time period for the fade in. It looks like I've also got the rotate continuously should also be in here. There it is right there. I click on the rotate continuously, and I can change that to rotate once every minute. Let's rewind that and play it back. This time it should rotate. Oh, I see. It's rotating once, one complete rotation every minute. So that, in essence, that's a speed parameter right there. Let's change that to a 1, and now it's going to spin very fast indeed. So it makes one complete rotation every second and spins continuously. That's probably a good definition of that behavior. So notice that if the behavior requires parameters, both a dialog box appears for defining those parameters, and then you can also click on the sprite overlay for the icon of the behavior, and then change the parameters here in the Property Inspector. I should also point out at this stage that you can attach the same behavior to as many sprites or frames as necessary, and then use different parameters for each instance of this behavior. Most behaviors respond to simple events, such as a mouse click on a sprite, or the entry, in this case, of the playhead into a frame. When the event occurs, the behavior performs an action, such as jumping to a different frame or playing a sound. Director, as you saw, comes prepackaged with customizable, reusable behaviors for many, many basic functions. And this is why I really like the behaviors that ship with Director better than some of the other programs. Some of the other programs, you're limited to the types of things you can do with behaviors, but the list here in Director is pretty exhaustive, and I find that I use them all the time. In addition, You and other developers can also create and share your own behaviors by writing Lingo or JavaScript syntax. Now in this case, I have several sprites here that have a variety of behaviors attached to them. For example, this Photos button here has two behaviors, roll over member change and go to frame X. The main menu has four behaviors, roll over member change, roll over cursor change, and go next button. Now Director executes behaviors in the order they were attached to a sprite, and they're listed in this order in the Property Inspector. Sometimes it's necessary to change the sequence of behaviors so that the actions occur in a different order. To do this, simply click on the sprite and then open up the Property Inspector, the Behavior tab. Click on the behavior that you want to change the order, and then click on the up or down arrow buttons to change that order. In some cases, the order in which these behaviors execute will have a dramatic effect on the presentation. Other times it won't have any effect on the way that Director plays back the behaviors. So there you have an overview of behaviors in Director 11. Let me now move on to the next several movies and take you on a guided tour of some of my favorite Director behaviors.